I wanted to thank you for bringing Dan on so that you could collectively
Yeah.
make it smarter on this show. You know, we got some brains here, but I do think that the most apt way to describe this is the way you just described it, which is what is the legitimate problem? So they will tell you that competitive balance is an issue. But what do we actually know the problem is? And how can that be solved? Like we're trying to solve that.
The problem is they can't control. They have no rules. Right. They would like to go back to the old way because they could control most of the money that way, and this way they can't, and that's a problem. Like they want to know that if they get somebody to donate money so they can create a $200 million football facility, that's going to reflect well on the athletic director. That's going to increase the athletic director's pay. Like now, if the cement mixer's just making a deal with the player, well, did the AD do that? Did he have
Stan just outlined? I'm not sure that that's even true. The competitive balance worry.
Oh, it's not. It's not. It's like, especially college football, one of the most competitively imbalanced sports in the world.
How much worse can it be?
Yeah,
I mean, we love the sport, but
yeah,
it's not competitively balanced. Like the middle of the SEC, the middle of conferences, major conferences have no chance.
Right.
Even the upper middle have no chance.
The middle of the Big Ten, no chance. So Jack's not alone, by the way. I don't want to paint this as just a Jack Swarbrick thing. There are a lot of ADs and college presidents and people who feel this way. They think that if you suddenly allow them to create rules like they used to have that have gone away, that they will create more competitive balance. The rules they created made the competitive imbalance in the first place.
It redirects where the money is headed.
Yes,
and
which is
then
it
allows
their real problem.
Yes, passive dollar to create an environment where more draft picks are produced, more wins are made, and then thus the recruiting is imbalanced because they want to go to the school that gets them to the NFL or the NBA or whatever sport they play in faster.
They're used to the passive dollar. Look at the weight rooms, right? Every guy's got a rack. We used to every other guy's got, now every guy, there used to be one waterfall. Now every locker's got a waterfall, right? Those are wastes of money as a passive dollar.
I remember that when the strength coaches had to say, stop talking to the volleyball players and the golfers. Stop flirting.
Right. Yeah. Now,
because they were in the weight room at the same time, but now they're not.
Right. You need a fingerprint
football players
to get
can't possibly work out with other athletes.
Right. Everything is a passive dollar instead of an active dollar. But look at their track record on this stuff. Okay. They said stipends. Remember when stipends was a big thing? Wait a minute. If you're at USC, your monthly stipend is, I'm making these numbers up, $300 because that's the cost of living. But if you're in Ames, Iowa, it's only $170. USC will have an unfair advantage. And you're like, okay, really? Stipends, the big schools. Okay, when was the last time Boise State beat Alabama head up for a freaking recruit? Didn't happen, right? There's always been the inability, unless the kid is literally from Boise, Idaho. We
don't even discuss stipends.
Right.
It's not even a thought.
Not a thought anymore. It was the biggest thing. That's the stipend was the start of when Jim Delaney threatened to take the Big Ten to Division III, and Dabo Sweeney thought about, I might have to do something else. Then it was the academic awards. The academic awards. The NCAA, in the Alston case, literally argued, they had a study that said 10% of hardcore fans would no longer be fans of college sports if players started receiving academic awards, because it would not, because some schools pay more than others. This was their theory. Who in the world, what kind of psycho are you if you're like, my favorite sport is college football, but I'm no longer a fan because my linebacker just picked up $5,000 for being smart? I no longer can. Come on, that person did not exist. Like if it offends you that your guy was so smart that he also made $5,000 for being on the honor roll, then what?
Dan, do you ever consider how much that study cost?
Yeah, the cost more than the $5,000. Well, you know how much money I can save these people? Get out of the business. Deregulate. Forget it. Let the world go on. It goes back to what I was saying before. So they have a horrible track record of telling us the world is falling apart. And yet they're still telling us the world is falling apart. I want to see the world. Let's see any bit of the world falling apart. Let's see it.
Well, I just remember when James Heckman was hired. He's a Nobel Prize winning economist. The NCAA hired him to be their expert witness in the O'Bannon trial. And I remember sitting there, he was being paid $2,300 an hour.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And he did a study that essentially told us that going to college was good. It didn't counteract any of the arguments that the players
Isn't
were
it
making.
amazing how quick somebody would jump at the opportunity to take the job as an expert witness making $2,300 an hour?
I will
to
tell you
somebody
they pay
else
anything
how
you
money.
want
We could
for
erase this.
$2,300 an hour.
They pay me $2,300 an hour. I'm going complete other side. This is a disaster. We need regulations.
Honestly, $2,300 an hour, and I say the cheese is, or the moon is made out of cheese. Like, there's nothing I won't say.
Yeah, well, Heckman did listen, Nobel Prize winner. He's not going to sully his name. He didn't lie. He said college was good, which is true.
Yeah, true. Story.
College is awesome.
But everybody is really quick to line their pockets. And then the second anything comes up that gets in the way of them lining their pockets, whether it takes money out of the other person's pocket or not, that's when it becomes an issue.
Well, and
like
it's
everybody's
funny because,
first in line to get the money in their pocket.
Yeah. Even if let's say you did have a system where you were going to share money with the athletes. Let's say the Power 5 conferences or even the whole FBS. We do it that way. We say the whole FBS is going to take half of the new money, not the current money the college football playoff brings in, but the new money that the college football playoff will bring. Half of that. And that's the salary pool. It would still be pretty good money in salaries, and it wouldn't cost anybody currently making money a penny, but they still don't want that because they're afraid someone will realize they're not that important, and those quarterbacks are way more important.
So what's the number one avenue of money for these programs? Television, right? And the deals that they get with the conference. If you were to pool together, like, okay, let's do the Dan Wetzel, let the world burn strategy here for a minute. If you were to allow all the players to go get whatever they could get by any means that they can get it, no rules, no rules, just right. Was that the Outback?
That's the Outback. Yep.
Yeah.
From boosters,
no rules,
or
just
companies.
right.
From boosters or
anything.
Companies. Well,
I don't care where they want to get
if the
it.
schools
Within
want
the
to
realm
pay
of,
them, then they're employees, and we're having a different conversation. But
let them go get it from anyone but the school
Yeah.
in any way they want, as long as they're not breaking the law. If you added all that money up from all the stars, every single Power 5 player, would it even be a drop in the bucket for 1 year's when compared to 1 year's revenue from television deals? Like, would it even register?
I don't think it would be very high. It would register, was my guess, but I don't know that the market won't soar back because it's hard to get people to commit every year. Okay, yes. So we have like we'll hear, well, this quarterback recruit got this much money. Well, let's see when he doesn't pan out. Go look back through the list of 5-star Q, and how often have you just gave let's say I give $100,000 and I get, we got to get this guy, and I throw $100,000 in, and he doesn't play, and isn't any good, and I feel like an idiot, and everyone knows I paid $100,000. Like, at least when you buy a building, you're not embarrassed by the building. You're like, hey, building looks good.
It depends on what the building is.
Well, yeah, but right. I don't know that these boosters will just sit there and go, well, wait a minute, because look, in pro sports, we could do this, and it's never happened.
It's a percentage of
There's
of
nothing
team
stopping,
revenue.
say, a car dealer in Baltimore right now to say, you know what, or whatever. I have hundreds of millions of dollars in Baltimore. Lamar, take less. I'll pay you $20 million a year and make up the difference if you cut a commercial for my business. There's nothing stopping that in pro sports, and it's never happened.
As long as you don't put it in writing.
Not once.
Because it would violate the CBA. But yes.
But if it's like, hey, if you're a Raven, here's a $20 million. We have seen in the past, particularly when you had to be basically in New York or LA or a couple other markets to become a national figure. It was an idea. Well, you go to New York, you got bigger endorsement possibilities and stuff like that. But that
doesn't exist. Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, they played some of the smallest markets in the NFL. Everybody knows that. But you could do that. We've never seen it. So I just, it's all boogeyman stuff. It's all panic. It's all, and everything is, let's scare people. Now, they are very successful at scaring the fans. And all I say is,
I think they're less successful recently.
Well, honestly, on Twitter, you hear them repeat the talking points to you. Like if somebody doesn't want players to be paid, all I hear are the same things that I've heard from the people who are sending out the message, which is it's going to ruin the sport. It's about amateurism. All the stuff that we hear over and over and over again. Like people buy it. That's the thing. Like, there's a lot of buyers of that narrative.
People will stop watching. And I'm like, I am going to bank on Americans continuing to watch football. Okay.
I'm going to bank on people doing the thing they've always done.
I'm going to go out.
Over and over again.
I don't see football just stop happening.